Good evening. It's back. The legislature resumed here at Queen's Park today after the longest recess in 25 years. Doug Ford promised there would be a new tone, and he and his MPPs delivered. But how long will that last? As protesters circled Queen's Park outside, it was a very different feel inside.
Member for Nickel Belt.
It was calm, a tangible difference from the last session.
That's how business works.
And the new tone started all the way at the top.
What's this session going to be like?
Oh, it's going to be great.
Premier Doug Ford was far more restrained than usual in the legislature.
We need to unite this country because what is good for Canada is good for Ontario.
And those orchestrated PC standing ovations that continually slowed down proceedings?
Stop the clock. Stop the clock.
All but gone. Today, there was only one. This is Doug Ford's government, take two. Chastened in the polls in a federal election that saw Ontario largely vote Liberal red, the provincial Conservatives are back with a vastly different cabinet. But will this civility continue? Do you really think that's going to last for very long?
Look, there are going to be days when there will be very fierce, passionate debate. I suspect later on today that'll happen as well. But I think ultimately the tone that you saw today is the balance that we'd like to strike in the House, and I get the same sense from the opposition that they're on the same page.
But the opposition isn't buying it.
Well, time will tell. I mean, time will tell what this government, what this government's going to behave like. But look, they can put on a happy face here in the ledge, right? They can calm their behavior at question period. But is that going to make any hill of beans of difference with kids who need supports in the classrooms that are being cut?
Former Conservative Premier Ernie Eves was watching in the legislature today. He's encouraged by the new tone.
I think the government was quite inexperienced in its first year. They had a lot of things they wanted to do. They may have bitten off a little more than they could chew in terms of the number of things they were trying to do all at the same time.
In its first year, the Ford government appeared to have been trying to do too much too fast. It's now walked back several pieces of policy, just last week announcing it will increase high school class sizes to 25 instead of 28 as it tries to reach a deal with teachers. A sign it isn't digging in its heels quite as deeply as before.
I think people, reasonable folks, would acknowledge it is a step in the right direction. It is not the final offer, to be fair. It is a offer.
But a change in tone isn't enough for the autism community.
It's time.
Two mothers were at Queen's Park today begging MPPs to speed up the revamp of the autism program that it bungled 9 months ago.
It's just emotionally exhausting to keep on fighting this burden.
Now remember, when Doug Ford became Premier, he had had no experience at all here at Queen's Park, nor did his longtime friend who became his Chief of Staff. Now Ford has a new Chief of Staff and more experienced voices around him. And as one of those voices said to me today, it's time for him to get out of campaign fight mode and start to govern.